आपको पाकर के गौरवान्वित हैं सर।
Thank you. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Surya Dwivedi ji,
Thank you.
for introduction. And I'm really grateful to your center for inviting me. And in fact, if I remember, of late, you have invited me several times. And I got the feedback as well that the the lectures that I delivered here were appreciated. So I hope that the current lecture will also be of same nature, and you will find something to ponder about. Like, you know, as teachers, what we basically look for. As teacher, we look for something to not only construct, but construct for the well-being of the society. We as a teacher, we have this duty of, you know, constructing things for the society. And as a teacher also, see, my journey started from Banaras Hindu University, as stated by Surya Di. Basically, when I started my life, I was not that sure that where I'll end up. But when I got in admission in LLB, Bachelor's of Law in Banaras Hindu University, I decided that I'll become, a judicial magistrate. So I started preparing for, the judiciary exams also. But in 1996, some of you must have be aware about, that in 1996, new law came, and it made mandatory for 3-year practice and 1-year court, registration for appearing in PCSJ examination. So that particular decision of the government changed my course of action, and then I got MA in journalism, and during MA journalism I qualified NET examination and did PhD, went to Guru Govind Singh, the Prastha University, Delhi, and after that I came here as a teacher. So why I'm narrating my story. This story is very useful for the teachers, because when we start a research, we are not sure that where we land up. So most of the cases, since I have not only examined several, somewhere 50, 60 doctoral theses and more than 100, MPhil and master's level registration, I have again, supervised a postdoctoral fellow as well. I'm closely related with some of the, fundamental work with University of Malaysia, University of Edinburgh. So what I'm just trying to communicate here is, when we as a teacher start a research, or as a student, when we decide about area of a research, what is the most important thing is delimiting it, so that you know that where you will reach and how you will basically reach. Suppose you decided to, your aim is to reach Allahabad or Gorakhpur, and you decided that, yes, I'll take a particular, way to reach Allahabad or Gorakhpur. But if you take a wrong way, a wrong path, then you won't reach Allahabad or Lucknow. You will rather, Allahabad or Gorakhpur. Rather, you will reach to some other place. Or suppose you have the facility of reaching Allahabad in just 2 hours, maybe through, air mode. But you have chosen that, no, I'll go by cycle. So again, you'll consume a lot of time. So this is how we basically, plan everything. And planning is very important part of research. And research is what? Research is basically, measuring, controlling, and manipulating the variables that you have in hand. Very, if I have to sum up the meaning or definition of research, research is a process where we basically measure, control, and manipulate the variables in order to reach to a particular conclusion. When we say measure or control or what we have just said, measure, control, or manipulate. There are just two ways of doing it. One is inductive, way, another one is deductive way. When I said inductive way, it's a particular approach which give a researcher opportunity to do it himself or herself. So the researcher starts the direct observation of the reality, himself or herself. So when you are observing the reality yourself, you'll have, existing, maybe, the tools and techniques of, the direct observation of the reality. Or if you have decided, no, I am going to conduct a research work which will be based on the existing body of knowledge, that is deductive approach. So one is inductive approach and another one is deductive approach. So most of the researchers, if you'll find and try to analyze it, that most of the researches are basically conducted using these two approaches, or a mixed approach where you have both your, the area of research is such where some part is inductive and some part is deductive. So you have chosen a mixed approach so that you can, have better understanding of the problem that you have had. So let me take you again back to a particular incident where it is very beautifully narrated that how your reasoning or inquisitiveness or observation of the researcher plays very important role in the research work. Before and after Newton, many people saw that apple is falling down. I hope that all of us must have seen every day many phenomena that is happening in front of us. But how many of us are basically, not only recognizing the phenomenon, but also following it? Don't you think that before Newton, many people saw that apple falling down? आपको नहीं लगता कि न्यूटन के पहले लोगों ने नहीं देखा होगा कि एप्पल से पेड़ से नीचे गिर रहा है? They must have seen it. Then why they did not follow it? Because either they were not interested, or they had little information and knowledge about the physics. Newton, since Newton was from physics background, and he followed it, and when he not only followed it but also came up with the concept, and when that concept was accepted by the majority, that concept became the Newton's law. So when you as a researcher, when you derive something that the conclusion is not accepted by everybody, why that is not accepted by everybody? Because it differs from time and space. Let me give you another example, that in the 14th century, the fact was, or the established truth was, sun revolves around the earth. That was the established knowledge, and nobody was daring, or nobody dared to challenge that established knowledge, because during that time, 14th century, the church was the dominating force, and when church was dominating force, nobody was allowed to express views other than what was the view of the church. So one scientist, Copernicus, he wrote a wonderful book. When Copernicus was well aware about that the earth revolves around the sun, but he did not dare again to speak or say that this is truth. So what he did, he waited till the time he was on his deathbed. जब वो मरने के एकदम करीब आ गया, तब तक उसने इंतजार किया कॉपरनिकस ने, और फिर उसके बाद उसने वो अपनी किताब जो है, अभी किताब का नाम मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, वो बुक उसने लिखी थी, वो पब्लिश की. And the moment he published it, church came to know that yes, book was published and Copernicus, published it. So they, captured everything, whatever, was there, they captured it. But unfortunately, or what we call it fortunately, another scientist from Italy, called Bruno, he got the book. And when he got the book, he started reading and accepted the, the formula or the principle or the concept of Copernicus, that yes, Earth revolves around the sun. But church did not agree to the truth. So that's why I say that when we conduct a research did not change, or research basically either alter the existing truth or eliminate the existing truth, and it adds in the existing body of knowledge. But you can't say that whatever you have find is truth. Why? Because truth is time specific. Just 600-700 years back, sun was revolving around the earth. Now 700 years later on, we know that earth is revolving around the sun. But what if somebody comes with another theory? And we will definitely say, no, you are wrong. Why? Because we know that we have read it in our book that earth revolves around the sun, and everything is revolving around the truth that earth revolves around the sun. So what happened to Carl Bruno? Carl Bruno got the punishment for speaking against the dominant force. He was captured with the help of a fake student. A fake student was sent to Carl Bruno, and Carl Bruno, when he started teaching that fake student, the fake student informed about the whereabouts of the Carl Bruno, and the church captured him and sentenced him death. And that too, उसको जब कार्ल ब्रूनो को चर्च ने सजा सुनाई, तो वो सजा क्या थी? मुझे लगता है कि ऐसे शिक्षक को ऐसी सजा सभ्य समाज में बहुत कम मिली होगी। पहले उसको एक ऐसे गर्म जो बड़ा बर्तन था उसमें डालकर काफी दिनों तक रखा गया, फिर ठंडे में डाला गया, फिर उससे कहा गया कि कबूल करो कि सूर्य पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूमता है। बट व्हेन ही डिनाइड, उन लोगों ने कहा कि इसको ऐसा पनिशमेंट देते हैं क्योंकि ये राक्षस के समान है, इसके रक्त की बूंदें धरती पर ना आए, तो उसे जिंदा ही जमीन से ऊपर जला दिया गया। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि कार्ल ब्रूनो के साथ नॉलेज के लेवल पे क्या किया गया। When he basically came up with the right knowledge, but the dominant forces, whoever was dominant force, they did not accept it, and they they rather refused it. But later on, many people came up with other concepts and models and proved that Copernicus or Carl Bruno or later on Galileo with his system, he was also punished, but they all contributed in the existing body of knowledge. So what is the research? When we say understanding research, why we take a particular subject for research? Research is for the well-being of humans. It is undertaking any study that you take in hand for analyzing, that basically helps in not only the lives of common man, but also make it a dignified life, turn it to a dignified life. So the work of research or the contribution of research to the society is to convert the findings into an acceptable concept and theory and fact, so that the society may accept it. And when society will accept it and work with the help of the concepts and theories, it will definitely help the society grow in a positive way. So this is the essence of research. That is why we basically, started doing research work and given it a academic shape. These days, we in universities and now in colleges also, we are undertaking research. But what is the value of those researches? Is your research changed the life of even a single person? What is the point in taking an area of research which is of no use? Then what kind of research areas we select? How do we go about it? How do we collect our information or data so that it can help the society? So at the level of selecting it, see, I know that in an academic institution or in market, when we undertake a research, we are basically time bound. We have a limited time. In academics, MPhil is now eliminated, but when it was there, just 1 year for MPhil research and 4 years for PhD, plus 4 plus 1 year, plus in most of the cases 4 plus 1 year, or in some cases with the exemption from the Vice Chancellor, it goes to 5.5 years. But but do you think that you can restrict research with a time frame? So restricting research to a particular time frame is what I feel is the most important hurdle to the research. When a student take admission in MPhil or PhD, the first year goes in just understanding the the concepts, understanding the system, and when he starts talking with his supervisor and decides about the area of research, by that time the research supervisor and the student, they know very little about the research area. In India, the research is not based on the specialization of supervisors. In India, you will find that a supervisor like me, who has supervised, I think, 8 doctoral theses I have already supervised, and it is currently going on. In total 17 years of 20 years of my academic career, so just 8 PhDs. But you will find that in private institutions, I was quite amazed to see that one of my colleague who was just assistant professor in a private institution. I do have a long 20 years academic life, but in just 3, 4 or 5 years of his academic tenure, he completed 20 PhD theses. Who is to blame? And how he did it. And similar things are happening in most of the private institutions and most of the institutions in India, that we are not taking research seriously. And the government is not basically responsible. If government is giving us proper time, though we don't accept the time frame, we need more time, but 5.5 years is relatively good time to go for a genuine research. But in most of the cases, you'll find that people in science or in social sciences, they are conducting or completing research in just the time frame they require to submit their thesis, 2 years, 2.5 years, or maybe after completing their examination, they just take 2 years. So, but what happens after that? Have we conducted any research study that what is happening with 5,000, 10,000, and 20,000 research pieces that we have produced? Do we have any data about the thesis that we have produced, say in Gorakhpur University? Suppose Gorakhpur University has produced 5,000 theses till now. Now, what has happened to those theses? क्या हुआ उन थीसिस को? क्या हो रहा है उन थीसिस को? क्या ऐसा तो नहीं कि वो अलमारी में सिर्फ सेल्फ में रखा हुआ है या फिर उसको दिमाग ही लग रहा है? तो ऐसी थीसिस को बनाने का क्या मतलब है या लिखने का क्या मतलब है जो थीसिस समाज के काम ना आ पाए। तो हमें वी एज अ टीचर वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट दैट हमारा रिसर्च थोड़ा सा ही छोटा हो, थोड़ा सा ही हो, पर वो सोसाइटी को कनेक्ट करता हो। So what I am suggesting right here that whenever you as a research scholar, you think about your, the research area, choose the research area which has even a little significance to the society. If it is not going to contribute in a major, way, even if you are contributing, say, very less, say a little bit contribution, that will also be acceptable, but no contribution. What is the contribution of the researchers? And I request the teachers there in the Gorakhpur University or other universities that just go through the previous research work. What is happening with those previous research work, and look at the titles. So the Ganga and other platforms have already started giving the information about the previous research work, but we need much information about the previous research titles so that we are not repeating it and we are conducting new information. So in research, see, as I have mentioned that inductive and deductive, these are two different ways of our approaches for research. And the moment you choose, like the moment you chose that, yes, I want to visit Allahabad, and you have taken a particular way, तो आपको पता चल गया इलाहाबाद जाना है, आपने रास्ता पकड़ लिया। अब आपने अगर रास्ता पकड़ लिया सही तो आप चलते जाएंगे। रास्ते में भटकने के रास्ते बहुत आते हैं। लखनऊ से इलाहाबाद हम आ रहे हैं तो वहां पे बीच में एक जगह है बटोही पड़ता है, कहीं और कोई और जगह पड़ती है, बड़े अट्रैक्शंस होते हैं, रुकने की जगह होती है। अब आप कितनी देर रुकते हैं उन अट्रैक्शंस के कारण। तो ये सारी बातें आपके रिसर्च को निर्धारित करती हैं, या आप कितना समय लेंगे, या फिर आप रास्ते के लोगों के एक्सपीरियंस के साथ अपने रिसर्च को जोड़ते हुए आप समाज को भी लेकर चलते हैं। सो दिस इज हाउ द रिसर्च research will be useful. When it comes to later on, first we decide about the area for research, and after deciding about the area of research, the most important part is basically literature review. And after literature review, we decide about the theoretical or conceptual framework of research. Now this is very important. Theoretical framework or conceptual framework of the research. In most of the researches that I have checked, I have found that though they write theoretical framework, but they don't understand why they have written the theoretical framework. Or what is the difference between theoretical framework and conceptual framework? How shall we write it? So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes on theoretical framework and conceptual framework so that you understand that why we basically go for it. See, when in your research, suppose you are a research scholar and you have reviewed so many research, and you now want to decide the basis. So the blueprint, the theoretical framework is like blueprint, a blueprint of your research. Blueprint is what? It will definitely tell us about the tools, methods, the variables, analysis of techniques. So everything will be decided the moment you will select the theoretical framework. Say for example, suppose I'm a communication researcher and I want to analyze the impact of news on news content on the audiences, and impact of news content on audiences. The moment I'll go through it, I'll decide, okay, agenda theory is very important for me. Why? Because media sets the agenda. So I'll definitely take the help of agenda theory. But do you think that the influence or impact will be same on everybody? I don't think so. So I'll take another theory, that is individual difference theory. Okay, why individual difference theory? Because the same content will have different effect on the people because they are different in caste, region, religion, age, and IQ level. So my focus would definitely be on the individual difference theory also. When we say theoretical framework, the moment you have written that your research theoretical framework is based on these two theories only, it simply means that you are now bound to follow these theories, bound to follow. And your complete research work will be based on agenda, setting theory and the individual difference theory. This is called theoretical framework. So theoretical framework is based on the existing theories, and the research work will be based on the existing theories. When we say conceptual framework, now in theoretical framework, there is another framework that is called conceptual framework. But the moment we say conceptual framework, it is not different from theoretical framework. There is a very thin line between theoretical framework and conceptual framework. But the conceptual framework is also based on the existing theories, but we take help of the existing theories to draw our own parameters. Okay, so when we draw our own parameters and we analyze those parameters, which are basically based on the existing theory, we call it conceptual framework. So your research is guided by, say, A, B, C, maybe more than 3 theories, but your research is not blindly following or based on these 3 theories. You have developed your own parameter of understanding or analysis on the basis of the the existing researches. So that's the basic difference between theoretical framework and the conceptual framework. And theoretical framework are generally taken in quantitative studies, and conceptual framework are part of qualitative studies. But there is not a line that yes, theoretical framework is for quantitative and conceptual framework is for qualitative. You can't say it in this way. Yes, there is a guiding principle, there is a guiding force, and on the basis of which you can say yes, this theoretical framework is basically are generally written in quantitative studies. So the moment you have decided about your theoretical framework, the first thing that you'll basically decide about is objectives and hypothesis of your research. Now, it's a very important part of your research. Why to hypothesize? Why we make hypothesis? Hypothesis is basically a challenge. Challenge to what? The existing order. We challenge the existing order. At the moment you challenge, you come up with some other concept. Like you got a job. It's very simple. You got a job where you got a job in a chocolate factory, and you started watching the process of production, and you started watching the process of production, and somehow you felt that there is a problem in a machine. The machine is not making chocolates of the value of the for which they are basically sold. तो कहने का मतलब क्या था कि चॉकलेट जो 10 रुपए का चॉकलेट है 100 ग्राम होना चाहिए या 10 ग्राम होना चाहिए, 10 ग्राम नहीं है. अब आपने ये जो है आप सोच रहे हैं कि 10 ग्राम नहीं है. What is the existing statement? The existing statement is that the Cadbury chocolate is of 10 grams. Now you want to challenge it. No, the chocolate is of not 10 grams. Then how much? How would you decide it? कि chocolate 10 ग्राम का है कि 9.5 ग्राम का है कि 11 ग्राम का है कि कितने ग्राम का है chocolate? आप कैसे डिसाइड करेंगे? अब आपने क्या किया? रोज समझ लीजिए कि चॉकलेट की फैक्ट्री में 10 ग्राम का चॉकलेट लाखों की संख्या में बन रहा है। अब लाखों चॉकलेट तो निकाल के खा नहीं जाएंगे ना, या फिर इसको देखेंगे नहीं, फिर तो दिक्कत होगी। तो हम क्या करेंगे, we'll draw sample. Okay, so we'll draw sample. So first day we'll take maybe sample of 10 chocolates. Second day, third day, so we'll repeat it for 30 days. So how many chocolates we have measured for 30 days? If it is 100, say 10 per day, 30 days 300. If it is 100 per day, then 3000 per month. So we observed chocolates randomly, and when you watched or weighed chocolate randomly, you'll find that yes, some of the chocolates are basically of 9.9 gram, some chocolates are 10.2 gram, some chocolates are 10.5 gram, some chocolates are 11 gram, some chocolates are 9.7 gram. Again, on the basis of this particular information, you can't predict 100%. So what you need statistical measure. आपको एकदम बताना पड़ेगा कि नहीं, जो मैं बात कह रहा हूं वो 95 बार वही सही निकलेगी। तो हम क्या करते हैं, डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम का इस्तेमाल करते हैं कि डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम कितना होगा, या फिर आपका हम इसको टेस्ट कर लेते हैं कि क्या ये जो संभावना है, प्रोबेबिलिटी है, इज दिस प्रोबेबिलिटी वैलिड अप टू व्हाट स्केल, 99 टाइम, 98 टाइम, 97 टाइम, 96 टाइम। हम 99 बार निकालेंगे तो वही चीजें आएंगी जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, या फिर मैं 95 बार मैंने ऐसा किया और 95 बार ऐसा है। सो अप टू व्हाट लेवल बेसिकली my the assumptions are correct. So we'll assume. When you'll assume, you'll say that you'll start with what? No. Most of the staff will say no. बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा। तो हम क्या करते हैं, पहले ही कहते हैं no. There is no change. No change. So we start with null hypothesis. So there is no change. No change simply means no significant, loss in terms of value. No significant loss. So we'll say no change. But there is, a group which is saying, contesting this statement. No, there is change. But they are not able to say whether this change is positive or negative. They are not in a position to say whether this change is positive or negative. If this change is, say, positive simply means that the chocolate का 10 ग्राम के चॉकलेट में 1 ग्राम ज्यादा जा रहा है एक चॉकलेट में, body of knowledge. And when we contest a statement in the existing body of knowledge, your contest can be directional. So we call it, one-tailed hypothesis, or you can't say, so two-tailed hypothesis. You don't know the direction. If the hypothesis is directional, so it's one-tailed. But if you are not able to gaze, or you are not able to analyze its direction, then two-tailed hypothesis. It may go in this direction or the other direction. Or you are very happy with there is no change. So if the value of the, if the value, suppose you have chosen chi-square test for it, or suppose you have chosen any other, parametric or non-parametric tests. So when you decide our hypothesis testing, so with the help of the hypothesis testing, you will come to know that whether your assumption is rejected or accepted. The moment you say your assumption, say null hypothesis is rejected. So null hypothesis is rejected and alternative hypotheses are approved. Simply, it means the chocolate is not significantly costing to the owner. Why? Because maybe chocolate is 10 मिलीग्राम में है, इसलिए उसका कोई वो नहीं है, या फिर ज्यादा हो रहा है तो वो उतना ज्यादा नहीं हो रहा है कि उससे कोई असर पड़ता है, क्योंकि बाकी में किसी में कम हुआ, किसी में ज्यादा हुआ, तो ऑन एन एवरेज मिलके सब कुछ बराबर हो गया, तो नुकसान नहीं हो रहा है। नुकसान किसको हो रहा है? कस्टमर को हो रहा है। किसी कस्टमर को फायदा हो रहा है, किसी कस्टमर को नुकसान हो रहा है, किसी को 10.1 ग्राम मिल रहा है, किसी को 9.9 ग्राम मिल रहा है। सो but that but that particular change is not significant. नहीं तो क्या होगा? मान लीजिए 10.5 ग्राम जाने लगा सब में, तो मालिक क्या करेगा? तुरंत मशीन बदलो भाई, तुरंत मशीन बदलेगा, कहेगा बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है, मशीन बदलो, और मशीन रिप्लेस हो जाएगी, ऐसी मशीन आएगी जो 10 ग्राम के चॉकलेट बना के देगी। तो हाइपोथेसिस क्यों हमने बनाया? Because we want to test something, and we want to be 100% sure, but we cannot be 100% sure. So what we do, we basically chose our level of significance, 95%, 99%, and then you can go on. तो आप अपना लेवल ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंस को चेक करते हो और फिर उसके बाद आप उसके आधार पर ये सारी बातें बताने लगते हैं। तो ये आपका हाइपोथेसिस यहाँ पे हो गया। And suppose one fine morning you thought about, there is a relationship between hour of say study and marks. As a teacher, you must be facing a similar situation. Suppose there are 60 students in your classroom or 100 students in your classroom, and you want to understand their performance, and you want to understand that which factor is basically affecting their performance. Then what tools you have? You have to simply state a hypothesis, okay, that the performance is based on number of hours. So those students who study for a longer hour, they get more marks. Okay, and you'll call students, all 60 students, and you'll ask them that how many hours they basically study. You'll prepare a table, and after preparing the table, you'll conduct the test, and you'll come to know whether there is a relationship between number of hours and marks or not. But it won't give you clear, meaning. Why? Because number of hours is not the only thing that is important for marks. So what other factors are there? So when we talk about the variables, when we construct a hypothesis or when we state our statement, we basically think about the extraneous variables also. Extraneous variables. So independent variable, dependent variable, and there is extraneous variable, which is not in the control of the researcher. So can we control the extraneous variable? Yes, in some cases, we'll try to make our, the respondent as homogeneous as possible, but still, no matter how much, precaution you take, the homogeneity will definitely differ on the basis of certain elements which are basically not in your control. Suppose you have chosen all 60 students for the similar, the exercise. So what happens? At the day of, say, conducting your test, some of them have maybe, fight with their parents, अपने पिता से कोई लड़के आया, माता से कोई लड़के आया, पता चला उनका आते समय एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा नहीं था, कोई एकदम तपती गर्मी में आ रहा है, कोई एसी कार में बैठ के आ रहा है। तो ये जो कंडीशंस थी ये तो हमारे हाथ में नहीं थी ना। हमारे हाथ में कंडीशन क्या थी कि एग्जाम के समय जितने बच्चे आ रहे हैं उनको तो हमने कर लिया कि हाँ एक ही ग्रुप में का होगा, 1 साल के होंगे, एक ही एज ग्रुप के होंगे, वजन भी तौल लिया, उनका आईक्यू लेवल भी चेक कर लिया। लेकिन जिस समय एग्जाम के लिए वो आ रहे थे, आते समय और उनके एग्जाम देने के समय उनकी माइंडसेट क्या था, क्या एक्सटर्नल वेरिएबल था, एक्सट्रेनियस वेरिएबल जिसने इम्पैक्ट किया। हो सकता हो बुखार हो गया हो सकता हो वो फील नहीं कर रहा हो। तो ये चीजें हमारी कंट्रोल में, रिसर्चर की कंट्रोल में नहीं। So when we are not in when we cannot control these things, it simply means that we have to again take care of these things in our suggestion portion, so that you can again write that yes, these things may affect the result. Then there is another very important term that is we generally use, chi-square test. When we use chi-square test for similar suppose for similar the example, you are using chi-square test. Now when we generally have categorical data, and categorical data kya hota hai? Categorical data are exclusive category where that particular person or the respondent can go. For example, male or female. If the category is male or female, then no other person, no other gender can be included. We can't include male in female or female in male. So the chi-square test is basically used to test hypothesis about the distribution of observation in different categories. And when we say the null hypothesis is that which observed frequencies, and when you observed frequency, so you have observed frequency, which we call it expected, observed frequency and expected frequency. In chi-square test, we basically, what we do, we have expected frequencies and we go for observed frequencies. Now the formula for chi-square test is chi-square is equal to sigma O minus E whole square upon E. So chi-square is, sigma is simply sum of O observed frequencies minus E expected frequencies and the whole square upon E, the expected frequency. So when you basically suppose you have same problem, research problem, then you want to know about the relationship. Is there any relationship between the time of study and marks? You can use some other variables also, but this is a single variable study. So univariate, we call it univariate study. You can go for bivariate study also. You can go for multiple studies also. So the age under a particular age break, say 17 to 20 years, 21 to 30 years, 31 to 40 years, 41 to 50 years, 51 to 60 years, and over 60 years. And observed frequencies are say 25, 15, 5, 5, 5, 5. And expected, how do we calculate expected frequency? Just divide it and the total you'll get by the number of the rows, the grand total divided by number of rows, you'll get the expected frequency. So the 6 rows are here, so divide it 60 total, and the number N is 60 divided by 6, 10. So expected is 10. See, I'm just telling you, maybe this is a bit statistical, but what I'm just trying to communicate that starting a research, when you started a research, I hope जब हम रिसर्च की शुरुआत करते हैं और रिसर्च की शुरुआत करने के बाद हम ये डिसाइड करते हैं कि किस सब्जेक्ट पे हमें रिसर्च करना है, and after the moment you decide your research area, you have to go through the review, literature review. Then the most important part is deciding about the theoretical framework or conceptual framework. Once your theoretical framework and conceptual framework is decided, you'll very easily write the objectives of the research or research questions, or if you have in mind writing hypothesis, but you are willing to make hypothesis and you make, I don't think this is basically the right way. Hypothesis or research questions are made when we use research questions when we are going for exploratory or inductive, the approach. Why? Because there is not much available. But when there is, ample information available and we have to just simply check it, the information is available and we are going for deductive, the approach, the hypothesis is basically required. But you are going for deductive approach and you are not making a hypothesis, that will make your research, questionable. So this is how we basically, undertake research. Now my question to you all, एक बात और भी है पूछना है, अभी तक जो बातें हुई हैं, अगर उसमें कोई प्रश्न है जो आप सोच रहे हैं कि महत्वपूर्ण है या कुछ बातें छूट गई हैं, उनके बारे में आप पूछ सकते हैं, नहीं तो we'll continue. सूर्या द्विवेदी जी, अगर किसी को कुछ लगता है,
किसी को कोई संशय हो, कहीं से कोई जिज्ञासा हो, अब तक का जो लेक्चर हुआ है, तो आप अपनी बात रख सकते हैं, नहीं तो सर कंटिन्यू करें.
सर इंडक्टिव एंड डिडक्टिव रिसर्च के बारे में थोड़ा सा बता दीजिए.
As I have expressed in the beginning only, Ravindra ji, that when the researcher himself or herself, observes the reality, okay, so that particular approach is known as inductive approach. Researcher is witnessing it, observing it. So when you are witnessing it, observing it, it is giving you indication about the nature of research also, like observation, okay, maybe natural observation, maybe controlled observation, maybe that kind of exploratory work. Suppose you want to know about the television and social change in rural India. Okay, suppose this is your topic, Ravindra, that you want to know about television and social change in rural India. What are the ways of doing it? One way of doing it is that you have already decided about your area of research. Now you'll prepare your questionnaire, you'll write your hypothesis. This is what we generally do. यही हम करते हैं ना. हमने सोच लिया कि टेलीविजन और सोशल चेंज इन रूरल इंडिया ये हमारा रिसर्च का टॉपिक है. अब इसमें हमें क्या करना है, तो हम 50 पेज इंट्रोडक्शन लिखते हैं, फिर इसके बाद रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर लिखते हैं, फिर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स लिखते हैं, फिर रिसर्च क्वेश्चन बना लेते हैं, नहीं तो मन करता है तो हाइपोथेसिस बना लेते हैं, और ज्यादा मन करता है तो क्वेश्चनर या इंटरव्यू शेड्यूल में से एक ले लेते हैं, फिर ज्यादातर क्वेश्चनर बनाते हैं, फिर उस क्वेश्चनर को ले जाके जिस विलेज में आप देखना चाहते हो आपने डिसाइड कर रखा है खुद ही, और उसमें जाके दे के 500 लोगों का आपने जो एक सिस्टम हमने बना रखा है, 500,000 लोगों पे हमने अपना क्वेश्चनर दिया, उन्होंने भरा ठीक, नहीं तो हमने भरवाया, और फिर इसके बाद उसी को लेके आए, टेबल पे बैठा, उसका बढ़िया सा बार डायग्राम, चार्ट, पाई चार्ट बना के, और फिर उसका पूरा कंपाइल करके हमने रख दिया कि देखिए ये रिसर्च है. यही करते, और फिर हमारी थीसिस हो जाती है, डिग्री मिल जाती है. बट देयर इज अनदर वे ऑफ डूइंग इट. देयर इज अ वेरी ग्रेट जेंटलमैन नेम एज Kirk Johnson. He also conducted a study on television and social change in rural India. So what he did it himself without any help. He was there in a village of Maharashtra district, Maharashtra, Rajapur. राजापुर विलेज में 13 साल तक वो भाई साहब रहे वहां पे, ठीक है, टेलीविजन और सोशल चेंज को जानने के लिए कि what changes basically television brought in Indian villages. For that he went to Rajapur and he was there, and this technique is known as ethnography research. We call it ethnographic research. So he did not disclose that he is undertaking research. Rather than he became part of the Rajapur village, and every day he started writing, about the behavior of say the villagers. Were they fighting? Were they seeing program? What kind of programs they were watching? So everything, and it is in the form of a book, Television and Social Change in Rural India. And I can tell you that I have gone through in one go. एक बार में बैठ के मैं पढ़ के लग रहा था जैसे कोई उपन्यास पढ़ रहा हो, इतना बढ़िया वो रिसर्च लिखा हुआ था उपन्यास की तरह, और फैक्ट्स सारे ऐसे लग रहे थे कि जैसे हाँ हमारे आसपास ही चीजें चल रही हैं. तो what is the way of basically conducting research? The moment you will say inductive research, so ethnography will come in picture. Ethnography, the approach or method will definitely come in picture. Or observation will come in picture. Explanation will come in picture. Exploratory, ways of, doing research will come in picture. So the moment you decide about your approach, it will, give you indication about, the different methods, different tools. The moment you select a method, it will, highlight about its tools also. So मेरा यही कहना है कि जब हम रिसर्च के बारे में जैसे ही हम प्रश्न करते हैं, वो आपका तुरंत या अप्रोच सेलेक्ट करते हैं, वो तुरंत आपके बारे में बता देता है. So knowing about the same issue, you can, follow many different ways. But which way is the correct way? That we have to. I'm not saying that survey is not the basically right way of doing things, but survey is good for popular opinion. Survey is very good for popular opinion. You go to any theater and people who have just seen say a film, they are coming out and you are surveying them कि पिक्चर कैसी लगी, तो बताएंगे बकवास लगी, अच्छी लगी, गाना अच्छा था, डायलॉग अच्छा था, ये अच्छा था, वो अच्छा था. So what are you basically doing? You are basically conducting the popular opinion on a particular topic, not real opinion. There is a difference, real opinion and popular opinion. So real opinion, when you are basically there and in that village and know each and every person of that village, and you know that how they behave when a particular kind of program comes in the morning. तो रामायण आ रहा था तो सब लोग जो है पता चला किसी के घर में जो है सब लोग को कहा जा रहा है कि नहा लो भाई. अब रामायण की और नहाने से क्या लेना देना, लेकिन उस गांव में ये व्यवहार था कि भाई रामायण अगर देखना है तो नहा के बैठना जरूरी है, टीवी के सामने भी. तो ये क्या था, सोशल बिहेवियर था ना. या फिर रामायण अगर आ रहा है उसके पहले खाना वाना सब बना लो जिससे कि महिलाएं भी रामायण को उसी तरीके से देख सके. या फिर रामायण के समय कोई उठेगा नहीं, रामायण के समय कोई कुछ मांगेगा नहीं, माताजी भी जो है वहीं बैठ के देखेंगी. इसलिए आप ये मत सोचिए कि रामायण के समय आप रामायण देखिए और उनसे जो है आप पराठा मांगते रहिए कि खाते रहे, खाते खाते रामायण नहीं देख पाएंगे. तो सोशल बिहेवियर जो चेंजेस है ये आपको वहीं पे दिखाई देंगे. ये सोशल चेंज कहाँ दिखाई देगा आपको क्वेश्चनर में, या क्या आप इस तरह के चेंजेस आप क्वेश्चनर में देख पाएंगे कि नहीं देख पाएंगे जब तक आप उनका हिस्सा नहीं बनेंगे. तो इफ वी वांट टू know about the real changes, let me tell you very important development in India, that if you look at the increasing number of rape cases, why these rape cases are increasing in India. The basic reason is I'm not blaming the technology, but smartphones. Who are basically handling the smartphones? Look at the peri-urban areas and see the number of cases that are occurring in the peri-urban areas. What are in urban area? We have successfully adopted co-ed education, and our daughter, our son is now equipped with the presence of each other, the female and male in the urban areas. But in peri-urban areas, there the growing the amenities, city-like amenities, and who are there, people who are basically exposed to, rather bombarded with the uncivilized content. I call it uncivilized content, of sometimes pornography and all those things. So they are exposed to, and when they are exposed to, they are not able to handle it, and that's why smartphones are becoming very, very important tool for consuming that kind of information and then committing the crime. अगर आप इसके बारे में रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं तो आप जितने भी रेप केसेस होते हैं, उन रेपिस्ट के पास आप एक बढ़िया सोशल स्टडी कर डालिए, आप उनके पास जाइए और जाके पूछिए, आपके पास ये, मैं दावे के साथ कहता हूं, ये जरूर आएगा कि वो अपनी चीजों को रिग्रेट करेंगे। हर रेपिस्ट रिग्रेट करेगा, लेकिन वो उस मोमेंट को, इसलिए चूंकि उसने स्मार्टफोन रखा हुआ है और उस स्मार्टफोन के कंटेंट को वो कंज्यूम नहीं कर पा रहा है, हैंडल नहीं कर पा रहा है, जिसके कारण से वहां पे इस तरह की घटनाएं बढ़ती चली जा रही हैं। तो ये, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि शहरों में नहीं होता, शहरों में भी हो रहा है, गांव में भी हो रहा है, लेकिन उसके लिए कहीं ना कहीं इस तरह के कंटेंट जिम्मेदार है, क्योंकि हमें एजुकेट करना पड़ेगा। जो लिबरल समाज में लिबर्टी एक दिन में नहीं आती है, हम जो लिबरल एस्पेक्ट्स को देख रहे हैं, उन लिबरल एस्पेक्ट्स में हमें कहीं ना कहीं रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना पड़ता है, कहीं हमें दबाव बनाकर काम करना पड़ता है, कहीं हमें फुली फ्रीडम देना पड़ता है। लेकिन हमें ये भी देखना पड़ता है कि जिन्हें हम फ्रीडम दे रहे हैं, जिन्हें हम कंज्यूम करने के लिए इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहे हैं, क्या वो इस इंफॉर्मेशन को हैंडल करने के लिए तैयार हैं या नहीं है। यहीं पे एक सोशियोलॉजिकल स्टडी की जरूरत है कि जो इतना पैसा आ गया, अभी दिल्ली और दिल्ली के आसपास का मैं आपको उदाहरण बताता हूँ, पालम का इलाका है, हरियाणा का इलाका है, उसके इर्द गिर्द के इलाके हैं, जितने किसान हैं उनके पास अब किसान जमीन नहीं रह गई है, वो करोड़पति हो चुके हैं, उनको 4 करोड़ 6 करोड़ 10 करोड़ इस तरह से उनको लैंड जब सरकार ने लिया, पैसा मिला, तो उन्होंने किया क्या, बड़ी बड़ी मर्सिडीज गाड़ियां खरीदी, बड़े बड़े वाहन खरीदे, और फिर उसके बाद पढ़ाई लिखाई नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो जाहिर सी बात है उनका ध्यान किधर की तरफ जाएगा। आप अपराध आप देख लीजिए, गाजियाबाद है, नोएडा है, या फिर जितने ये जो इलाके डेवलप हो रहे हैं, उन इलाकों में वो और ज्यादा इस तरह का आपको ये क्राइम नजर आएगा। तो कहीं ना कहीं the content information is responsible and we must think about it. We try to educate them. हम जब तक उनको एजुकेट नहीं करेंगे तब तक हम सारे सिस्टम को ठीक नहीं कर पाएंगे। Okay, coming back to chi-square test. Basically, chi-square test is for single variable and for multiple variables also. So when you are doing it, say single variable. What is single variable? When you are taking just the the percentage, the R of study. So that R of study is single variable. But if we take the male and female also, whether it affects male and female or the caste or the region, religion. So there are many variables which you can take and you can conduct your study. Similarly, suppose the number of accident cases. We are witnessing that in India, the number of accident cases on highways are rising like anything. क्यों बढ़ रहा है ये? इतनी खतरनाक बातें सुनने को मिलती हैं, पूरा का पूरा परिवार जो है वो खत्म हो गया। हाईवे पे जा रहा है और पता चला कि ट्रक खड़ा है और पूरा का पूरा परिवार उसी ट्रक के अंदर चला गया। क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा? कारण वही है, मैंने आपको अभी क्या बताया, हमने स्मार्टफोन दे दिया, लेकिन स्मार्टफोन के लिए हमने उनके कंजम्पशन के लिए ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी। हमने हाईवे बना दिया, हमने सड़कें इतनी अच्छी बना दी, लेकिन हमने सड़कों पर चलने की ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी। अब आप सड़कें बना दें, लेकिन सड़कों पर किस तरह से चला जाता है इसकी ट्रेनिंग ही नहीं देंगे तो क्या होगा? जाहिर सी बात है कि आपके इस तरह के दुर्घटनाएं होंगी। Research, take up researches that are basically useful for the society, and if you are not taking, the researches that are useful for society, then the research work that you'll conduct will definitely be placed, in a almirah, not in a public domain. Public domain में वो आपका research नहीं रहेगा, वो public domain से बाहर आपका research तभी बाहर आएगा जब आप उन सारी चीजों को public के साथ जोड़ेंगे. There is a concept which is growing in research that let us talk about social factor rather than API. आप API की बात होती है रिसर्च में आजकल. API बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो गया है. आपको असिस्टेंट से एसोसिएट बनना है, रीडर बनना है, 5 से 6,000, 6 से 7,000, 7 से 8,000, हर जगह आपको API मांगा जाता है. मैं तो ये मानता हूं कि अगर मुझे कभी मौका मिला तो सारे API खत्म कर दूंगा. कोई जरूरत नहीं है इन API की. क्यों? क्योंकि ये आपको स्वार्थी बनाता है. ये टीचर को टीचर नहीं रहने देता. टीचर को कहता है कि ये दिल मांगे मोर, क्या हमको ज्यादा से ज्यादा रजिस्ट्रेशन कराने हैं, और इसी में फर्जी रजिस्ट्रेशन हो जाते हैं. कोई जाता है, नहीं जाता है, सर्टिफिकेट इकट्ठा कर रहा है, जिसे लग रहा है कि वो सर्टिफिकेट क्या हमें नॉलेज देंगे. These certificates are not going to give us knowledge. If God has given me opportunity, then I'll definitely give you students, not certificates. Why? Because students are important. If 6 teachers are in a department and 60 students are there, divide those students in 6 teachers and give each teacher 10 students and ask him or her to grow them. And after 2 years, evaluate their growth and give the marks to the teachers. This is the best possible way. Because then the teacher will start thinking about the students. अभी तो टीचर जो है स्टूडेंट के बारे में सोचना ही छोड़ दिया है. उसे तो अभी अपनी API इकट्ठा करनी है. तो अभी एक और नया फार्मूला चला हुआ है जिसे कहते हैं स्कोपस में कोई जर्नल है आपका, तो उसमें आप पब्लिश करा दीजिए, आप यहाँ पब्लिश करा दीजिए, वहां पब्लिश करा दीजिए, आप कहीं भी पब्लिश करा दीजिए, कोई भी रिसर्च कर लीजिए. लेकिन उस रिसर्च का समाज पे क्या प्रभाव पड़ रहा है? कुछ पढ़ा क्या? अगर नहीं पढ़ा तो फिर आपका इतने सारे API, मुझे लगता है कि लाखों करोड़ों की संख्या में API हम लोगों ने इकट्ठा कर लिए. उस API को अगर हम एक के ऊपर एक लगाए तो चंद्रमा तक पहुंच सकते हैं क्या? कहीं जाने वाले नहीं, लेकिन चंद्रमा तक जाने लायक API हमने बना के रख दिया है. But that API is of no use. I generally come across people who are writing books, though I have written just 3 books, but there are people who are writing 13, 14, 20, 25 books, and their publications are like 300 publication, 500 presentation. I am like, man, you are a superman, superwoman. How come you basically cope up with all those things? You don't have family, you don't have leisure time. If you have family, if you have leisure time, you cannot write. मैं आपको दावे के साथ कह रहा हूँ, अगर आपका परिवार है, आपकी फैमिली है, आपका समय अपने बच्चों में भी जाता है, तो आप अपने पूरे जीवन काल में 2-3 किताबें लिख लें, इतना बहुत है. क्यों? क्योंकि this life is not only about your job. Life is about securing good life. What is good life? Good life is to feel comfortable when you are there. Good life is to feel comfortable when you are in the college. Good life is when you feel comfortable when you are interacting with your family. If you are not able to get time to talk with your father or mother or brother or sister or children, and if you're not able to give them time, then I don't think that your job is worth doing, is very important. Because ultimately, what is job for? The job is to generate a dignified life. What is research for? The research is ultimately for humans. हमारे लिए है ना रिसर्च. ये हम रिसर्च किसके लिए कर रहे हैं? कोई चंद्रमा पे थोड़ी बैठा हुआ है जिसके लिए हम रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. We are doing research for ourselves. And if the research is not raising or changing or the life, that too, life with dignity. अगर हम अपनी जिंदगी को अपने रिसर्च के द्वारा या फिर अपने जॉब के द्वारा एक डिग्निफाइड लाइफ में नहीं बदल पा रहे हैं, तो ऐसी लाइफ का कोई मतलब क्या है? हम किस तरफ भाग रहे हैं, इसके बारे में हमें कहीं ना कहीं ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे कई बार लगता है कि वो आप अंगूठा लगवा लीजिए. अब भाई प्राथमिक विद्यालयों में मास्टरों से बहुत अंगूठा लगवाते हैं या कहीं और लगवा रहे हैं. क्या करोगे ये अंगूठा लगवा के? कल को लोग जो है ये थंबप्रिंट लाके कोई किसी का लगाएगा, कोई किसी का लगाएगा, तो फायदा क्या है? मेक एजुकेशन basically output related rather than quantify it. Why you want to quantify the number of hours that we are working for? अभी मैंने आपको बताया कि क्या जो टाइम है, पढ़ने का समय है, क्या वो रिलेटेड है उससे, आपके मार्क्स से? तो क्या जरूरी है कि आपका जो घंटा, जितने घंटे आप कॉलेज में रहते हो, वो आपकी क्वालिटी आउटपुट से रिलेटेड है क्या? अगर नहीं है तो फिर बेकार है। हमें सोचने की जरूरत है। Thinking is of no use, and we as a teachers, we as a research scholar, we must think about it. हमें सोचना चाहिए। अगर हम किसी पोजीशन पे पहुंच जाते हैं, आप पहुंच जाते हैं, तो आपको ये नहीं देखना कि वो हमारे डिपार्टमेंट में 5 फैकल्टी है तो पांचों परेशान कैसे रहे। ऐसा करेंगे तो आपका विभाग खराब हो जाएगा। आपको ये देखना है कि पांचों फैकल्टी अच्छे से कैसे रहते हैं, आप कोप अप कैसे अच्छे से करते हैं अपने विभाग में। भले से किसी को ज्यादा काम करना पड़े, किसी को कम काम करना पड़े, अगर आप अपने विभाग में सामंजस्य बैठाएंगे, लोगों की समस्याओं को सुनेंगे। आफ्टर ऑल वी ऑल आर ह्यूमन, we have differences, but if we can come over our differences and we can generate a conducive environment for working, then you'll find that there is a difference between your department and other departments. But it hardly takes time to utter good things, but it takes a lot of time to convert those words into good things. So that's very important, and same thing is required in the research. So starting from generating an idea and converting that idea into a workable or feasible title, and once you have decided your title, again deciding about what particular area of research is basically will be part of my research. So for that, a proper review of literature is required. Proper review of literature. And review of literature doesn't mean that we have to simply quote the name of the book. बहुत सारी रिसर्च में मैं देखता हूँ किताबों का नाम लिख दिया, ये किताब पढ़ा, ये किताब पढ़ा, ये रिसर्च हमने पढ़ा। तो भाई पढ़ा तो ठीक, लेकिन उससे क्या, ये रेफरेंस क्या है आपके रिसर्च में, ये आप इस्तेमाल कैसे करेंगे? आपने उनके टूल्स एंड टेक्निक्स को अपने रिसर्च के टूल्स एंड टेक्निक्स से जोड़ा क्या? आपने कुछ नहीं किया। आपने सिंपली, जैसे बच्चे लिखते हैं, ये रिसर्चर्स भी लिखते हैं कि हम लोगों ने भी लिखा है, क्योंकि हमें भी बताने वाला कोई नहीं था, बाद में अपने से पढ़ के लोगों को समझ में आता है कि जब आप रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर लिख रहे हैं तो उस रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर का मतलब क्या होता है। सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं हमने 50 किताबें पढ़ी, वो लिखते चले गए किताब इनके द्वारा ये चैप्टर पढ़ा, ये पन्ना पढ़ा, ये सारी चीजें पढ़ी। नो, the review of literature is to give you proper understanding of your research work and to decide that what theoretical framework is required or what conceptual framework is required. It is not for just simply writing that yes, I have dedicated 100 hours for my review of literature. I have n number of the names of books and journals which I can write in the review of literature. No, people take pride in saying that I have read 100 books, I have 100, 200, 500 references. What is the point in keeping those references when you cannot draw inferences? So references of no use if you are not able to draw inferences. And quality based education, the quality in education is again demand of the day. And if we keep doing research in the similar fashion in which we are doing it, I can bet that nobody is going to accept the research that we are producing it, barring a few. एक दो रिसर्च वर्क को मैं समझता हूँ कि हो सकता है कहीं न कहीं जगह मिल जाए, मौका मिल जाए, लेकिन बाकी की रिसर्च को मैं ये जानता हूँ कि कहीं न कहीं दिक्कत आएगी। और ये जब परेशानी आती है तो उसके बारे में हम लोगों को सोचना चाहिए कि किस तरह का हमें रिसर्च करना है। तो आपने देखा कि रिसर्च की शुरुआत मैंने कैसे बताई कि रिसर्च क्या है, क्यों करना चाहिए, अप्रोचेस क्या होते हैं रिसर्च के, और फिर उसके बाद आपने अपनी टाइटल बना ली, तो उस टाइटल में क्या करना है, रिव्यू ऑफ रिसर्च में आपको क्या करना है, थ्योरेटिकल फ्रेमवर्क अगर आपने डिसाइड कर लिया तो क्यों थ्योरेटिकल फ्रेमवर्क, कॉन्सेप्चुअल फ्रेमवर्क है तो क्यों कॉन्सेप्चुअल फ्रेमवर्क, या फिर अगर आपने रिसर्च क्वेश्चन बनाना है तो क्यों रिसर्च क्वेश्चन बनाना है, हाइपोथेसिस बनानी है तो क्यों बनानी है, हाइपोथेसिस क्या होती है। हम सिर्फ रटा रटाया वो केवल रंजीत कुमार और एक दो लोगों को पढ़ लेते हैं कि हाइपोथेसिस इज अ टेंटेटिव जनरलाइजेशन और आंसर टू द रिसर्च क्वेश्चन, इस तरह की बातें हम करते हैं, लेकिन वो स्टेटमेंट है, वो ऐसा स्टेटमेंट है जो आप कंटेस्ट करते हो एग्जिस्टिंग बॉडी ऑफ नॉलेज को, तब आप हाइपोथेसिस बनाते हो। लेकिन हाइपोथेसिस में भी आप नल हाइपोथेसिस क्या है, ऑल्टरनेटिव हाइपोथेसिस क्या है, आपकी वन टेल्ड क्या है, टू टेल्ड क्या है, डायरेक्शनल हाइपोथेसिस क्या है, अगर इन सब के, और फिर उसके बाद हाइपोथेसिस को टेस्ट करना है हमें सिर्फ पता चलता है कि हाइपोथेसिस तो सबने बनाई लेकिन टेस्ट किया ही नहीं। अरे भाई जब टेस्ट किया ही नहीं तो फिर हाइपोथेसिस क्यों बनाई? Most of the research work you will find that they created hypothesis, लेकिन but they did not test it। भाई क्यों बनाया आपने हाइपोथेसिस अगर टेस्ट ही नहीं करना है तो फिर रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस के साथ आप अपने आ जाओ। फिर उसके बाद जब हम हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग की हो जाते हैं तो बहुत सारे हमारे पास आ जाते हैं। अब जैसे कोरिलेशन की बात होती है, चाहे वो पियर्सन कोरिलेशन हो, स्पीयरमैन्स कोरिलेशन हो, तो ये कोरिलेशन कब लगाए जाते हैं, कहाँ लगाए जाते हैं, किस तरह के वेरिएबल्स में पियर्सन कोरिलेशन होगा, किस तरह के वेरिएबल में स्पीयरमैन्स कोरिलेशन होगा, काई स्क्वायर टेस्ट कब होगा, या फिर हम टी टेस्ट करना है तो कब हमें करना चाहिए। ये सारी बातें स्टैटिस्टिकल मेजर आपका सब कुछ सही होगा अगर आपने अपनी फंडामेंटल जो ऊपर का है वो सही किया हुआ है। अगर आपका फंडामेंटल ही सही नहीं है, आपका डायरेक्शन ही सही नहीं है, आपने प्रश्न या हाइपोथेसिस ही सही नहीं बनाया, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि बाकी की सारी चीजें आपकी समझ में नहीं आएगा। अभी मैं एक पीएचडी थीसिस चेक कर रहा था तो वाइवा लिया, उन्होंने रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस कर रखे थे। मैंने उनसे पूछा, बच्चे तुमने रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस की है, do you understand what is regression analysis? He was like, yes, I understand regression analysis, but you did not give the formula of regression analysis, how you calculated it. See, the whole thesis did not mention the formula for regression analysis. Similarly, the correlation was there, but how you basically calculated it, the formula was not there. So when you are using particular say statistical measure, do give particular formula, testing techniques, how you tested, which variable test you tested, why you tested, and what is the relation. And suppose if there is a regression analysis or Pearson analysis, what relationship you are basically trying to analyze, that has to be clearly mentioned. Otherwise there is the supervisor or the examiner will definitely ask you questions which you won't be able to answer. तो आपको वो सारी बातें पता होनी चाहिए। और इन सब से ऊपर जो सबसे बड़ी बात है, जो हमको आपको सभी को पता होना चाहिए कि रिसर्च क्यों करना है, और रिसर्च क्यों करना है इसमें ये सारी बातें शामिल होती हैं, और इन सारी बातों को लेकर ही एक अच्छा रिसर्च किया जा सकता है। अगर आप लोगों के पास कोई सवाल है तो हम open for it.
Good evening, all of you. Myself, Dr. Rajni Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, AMPG College, Shahjahanpur. On behalf of fellow participants and HRDC, DDU Gorakhpur University, would like to thank Professor Govind Pandey sir for his lecture on the topic Understanding Research. Sir, you discuss various relevant aspects of the research, such as objective, hypotheses, variables, data collection, analysis the data, etc. And also discuss the major points of theoretical framework and conceptual framework. Our research area should be something that beneficial for contemporary society. So I would like to thank you again for your valuable and knowledgeable lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Informative, sir. Thank you, sir.